Hi, my name is Juan Guzman, and I'm here to talk to you guys about the biggest Ponzi scheme in US history. Now, what is a Ponzi scheme? Essentially, a Ponzi scheme is just taking money from the latecomers to pay off the first comers. It was named after Charles Ponzi back in the 1920s after he had been using it for many years to scam people out of their money. Now, that leads us to Bernard Madoff. Now, Bernard Madoff up to 2008 was a very well respected and known man in Wall Street. He began his own company, the Bernard L. Madoff Investment Securities, back in 1960s, and made his way to the top to becoming the chairman of board of governors of the National Association of Securities Dealers. He was also asked as a leadership role in the securities industry and Financial Markets Association, which is Wall Street's principal lobbying arm in Washington. Madoff was doing well until 2008 when he confessed to his two sons that he was running a Ponzi scheme and that none of his investments were legit, or that he had even made any investments at all, and that he was in a lot of debt. In December 2008, he was convicted of 11 felonies of fraudulent charges, and he was convicted to 150 years, which is the max sentence. Now, in my opinion, why did I think that Bernard Madoff did this? Even though he became a very wealthy and successful man, it seems that his lust for money just continued, and he just became lost in his own greed to the point where he couldn't turn around. Why it became so easy for him to raise money? Well, Madoff came off as a very trustworthy and knowledgeable person that seemed to know what he was doing in the market. Because of this, he ran many charitable events that led him to network his way into power and into pretty much meeting new investors, not just here in the US, but even globally. What I would have done differently, if I was an advisor to a charitable organization that was investing in substantial funds through Madoff, I would just hire third-party companies that could audit his company and just make sure that he's running his business like he says he is. If I would have been a member of a well-paid feeder fund that was collecting smaller amounts from the middle-income investors to transfer to Madoff, essentially same thing, just get different companies to audit, not necessarily companies that Madoff had close relationships with. Or like, what if I would have been a competitor who had reported to the SEC that the investment model that Madoff was using was incapable of generating such large and consistent returns, but seeing little happen? I would have just kept pushing those numbers and letting people higher above the SEC, that Madoff's numbers aren't adding up, and that essentially he was just running a big Ponzi scheme. And I would have just kept on pushing to the news outlets and to the government just to let everybody know what was really going on. Thank you so much, and that's it.